All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got some questions here about the latest developments with YouTube. They're going after videos that are discussing 9/11 and the flat earth, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. And it would not surprise me if this one is another one. This is Joe Imbriano, folks. Fullerton Informer. P.O. Box 4121, Fullerton, California, 92834. Joe Imbriano 777 at gmail.com, and on the web at thefullertoninformer.com and WiFiDangers.com, ladies and gentlemen. So, I want to say good morning to all of you. And why is it that YouTube is now going after videos that talk about 9/11 and flat earth, ladies and gentlemen? What do they have in common? I've been reading some of the articles from the various news agencies, and they're talking about why this algorithm change is taking place. They're claiming that quote-unquote conspiracy theories are turning out to be harmful to people, and that supposed miracle cures and conspiracy rhetoric are harmful. Could it be, ladies and gentlemen, that the level of awareness of an individual, once they wake up to what happened on 9/11, and when they wake up to what they're living on, becomes an individual that is no longer able to be sedated by the machinations of those who control the media and the news outlets? Very well possible, folks. And for a particular reason, I've titled this video just that, because I would like to see what will happen to this video for talking about these two subjects. Now, September 11th is an issue that is not resolved, folks. I could tell you a simple fact about September 11th, 2001, and that is the cost to date to the United States for the war on terror has been approximately $5.3 trillion. And what does the United States have to show for that $5.3 trillion? Absolutely nothing, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely nothing. Except for dead soldiers wrapped in American flags coming back on airplanes, fueled by the government fueling stations overseas. And the Patriot Act and the National Defense Authorization Act and the Department of Homeland Security and all of these checkpoints and millimeter wave airport scanners that are unzipping people's DNA. Actually, let me rephrase that, ladies and gentlemen. The resonance induced by the millimeter wave scanners is causing all kinds of aberrations in the DNA and the transcription that takes place in the cell. But folks, 9/11 was not an inside job. 9/11 was an outside job with inside help. And they don't want you talking about who was responsible for 9/11. Now, I will tell you that Iraq and Saddam Hussein have been cleared of involvement of 9/11. But Saddam Hussein has been executed, and Iraq has been bombed back to the Stone Age. The same goes for Afghanistan, and the same goes soon to be for Syria. And if they have it their way, the next will be Iran. But I think that will be a very serious miscalculation. So, why is it that we can't talk about September 11th, folks? Why is it that we have to accept the official version of what happened that day? And why is it that if you question the official version, you are labeled as a conspiracy theorist. And why is it if you do videos on 9/11 that the videos will no longer be allowed to come up organically, being promoted through the algorithms related to people's search history and potential viewing habits? Very good point, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't it interesting that there isn't one like on this stream right now, folks, with hundreds of people watching? And obviously there are no comments. What's going on here, folks? See how the censorship operates? Not one like. Can I get you to hit the like button on this? Let's see if they've jammed that up. I've been getting emails from people saying that when they try to subscribe to my channel, they're getting a 404 error. But that's okay. I'm not going to stop exposing what is going on because we don't have a choice. Now, what does the flat earth have to do with something that is harmful to people? Why is YouTube deeming flat earth videos as harmful to people? Well, you see, when you realize that you're living in the grand illusion, like Styx used to sing about, it's nothing but a grand illusion, folks. Everything's a lie. And when you realize that the very core of what we've been taught about our existence and what we live on has been a lie, then you will realize that the Bible was not wrong in the first chapter, but it was right, and it was correct all the way to the end in terms of its geography, its anthropology, its history, and its eschatology. And when I say that, I mean that, folks. So when we have direct censorship, like what we're dealing with now, I believe it was about 2 or 3 days ago that they began this crusade to push down the videos that deal with 9/11 and flat earth. Isn't that an odd combination? Well, I'll tell you what, folks. The people that question 9/11 that know the earth is flat are the most awake people you're going to find, and those are the most problematic people for the establishment. The people that argue that NASA is some legitimate organization and that all of the stuff we see from space is 100% true and we have to believe everything we see on the TV, and that that those buildings on September 11th came down from kerosene melting steel. Well, those are the kind of people that the government loves. And the government loves those kind of people so much that they want to make sure that those people never change and that they keep getting their vaccinations, they keep drinking their fluoride, they keep getting their daily dose of blue light at night, they keep getting their daily dose of microwave radiation, and they're going to be getting their daily dose of millimeter wave radiation. They get their daily dose of allopathic poisonous petrochemical pills pushed by the pimp in the white coat. They get their daily dose of propaganda from the mind control systems, the newspapers, the magazines, the radio stations, and the television networks, and the syndicated networks, and even some of these controlled opposition shills on the internet. There's plenty of them. And I noticed they all have a common thread, and they work very closely together, pushing the same preposterous conundrum, and that is the lies of the globe Earth is one of their common threads. It's very interesting how the controlled opposition always speaks in terms of globalism. All right, we're up to 300 people on here, and there isn't one like on this video. Is the like button broken, folks? Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? I can't see any comments. All right. Well, there's a reason why they're worried about the 9/11 people questioning things. And I'm not talking about the 9/11 truth movement, folks, because that's been hijacked too. You know, the Alex Jones the Alex Jonesteins out there, and all these guys that don't want to talk about what really went down on that day, and how this whole mantra of 9/11 was an inside job is part of the diversion. 9/11 was an outside job with inside help, ladies and gentlemen, and they don't want you to know who was involved in 9/11. And there are plenty of people out there that have written extensively on September 11th, and who the players were. And I am in possession of some incredible information that was sent to me by some people, and they put together this amazing work called the Fallujah Papers. And I've been reading these and digesting these for some time now. And the amount of predictive programming that is in the media over this event, in the movies and in the music, is overwhelming, to the point that this was not an inside job, folks. This was an outside job with a lot of inside helpers along the way. So why is it that we should go along with this attack on our freedom of speech, folks? I don't care about whether or not the videos get promoted or not. I'm going to tell the truth. The earth is flat, and 9/11 is not what you think it was, folks, and I will tell you what I know that it is. It was a massive pretext to begin something called a war on terror. And I want you to look at the person who coined that phrase in 1979. It was Bibi Netanyahu, folks. And that was the same year that Supertramp's Breakfast in America album hit the #1 slot on Billboard. And the album sleeve from Breakfast in America showed the Manhattan skyline with an airplane heading right into it. And if you look at the cover from the Supertramp album Breakfast in America in a mirror, you can see 9/11 right above the Twin Towers on the cover. Now, these are coincidences, of course, right, ladies and gentlemen? We've spent $5.3 trillion on the war on terror, and the only thing we have to show for it is busted down military equipment. We have busted down military installations. We have worn out troops, dead kids that came back in body bags, depleted uranium all over the Middle East, and draconian legislation that has given the government the ability to eavesdrop on every single thing we say, do, text, and type. The fusion centers are working with the police departments. The Stingray systems are in the hands of all the police departments. They're literally remote control, listening to what you got on your computer, what you say, and they're about to put in WiGig and 5G to basically have complete total surveillance over everything you say and do, and what you're doing with your appliances, what you're putting in your blender, how many times you open your refrigerator, what the thickness of the glyphosate-laced wheat gluten pie in your toaster is. And they're worried about the flat earthers on YouTube, folks. Well, they should be. Because somebody that knows that the Bible is true, and somebody knows that they're watching you, all right? And that's me. And it can be you too. The Bible's accurate from cover to cover. Jesus Christ fulfilled the Old Testament to the T, down to the day that he rode into Jerusalem on the donkey. The 70 weeks of Daniel have already been fulfilled. When Jerusalem was destroyed in 70 AD, that was the completion of the 70th week. And when you look at the stone that broke the statue in the book of Daniel, and it basically, that final kingdom is the kingdom we're living in, the kingdom of Jesus Christ that will fill the earth, okay? We're already living in it, folks. Christianity is marching on. Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. And the enemies of Jesus Christ do not want people waking up to the enemies of Jesus Christ and who they are. They want you sound asleep believing the lies of evolution and the globe spinning earth model that is a necessity for evolution. Because you cannot have evolution inside the closed system that we live in. Because somebody had to put the roof on and somebody had to put everything in here, right, ladies and gentlemen? Well, that's exactly what has gone on. God has created the heavens and the earth. He's created the firmament above us that supports the waters above us. And he's created the earth that we live on and the waters below us, the fountains of the deep. You see, the reason why flat earth is so problematic on so many fronts is not only because people wake up to the truth of the Bible, and they understand God, they know how to relate to God, and they begin to live a life of victory, a life of wisdom, and a life of courage. They don't want that. They want you afraid. They want you perverted. They want you handing yourself over to the devil on a nightly basis when you push the buttons of his black scrying mirror, psychotronic electronic Ouija board that you call a smart television, that's turning you into an idiot. And for those of you who still watch lots of television, you keep believing the propaganda, you are being played for the biggest fool in the world, folks. Trust me. Everything you're being told on that television is a complete psyop to get you to think and believe and act a certain way so that you can remain under their thumb. The reality about the flat earth is not only does it prove the Bible's true, or should I say that the Bible proves that the earth is flat. Either way, those two statements are equal to each other. They're on opposite sides of the equation with an equal sign between them. But there's also an infinite supply of water under the ground that they don't want you to know about. You see, when the windows of heaven were opened during the flood, and the waters receded, they went back under the ground. There was a tremendous amount of water that was allowed to enter in from above the dome, folks. And you can see the entry point. It's called the Milky Way, folks. That's the tear in the dome. I believe that's where the windows of heaven were opened, and that's where the waters rushed in. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights, and there was 20,000 feet of water on the face of the earth. That wasn't a thunderstorm, folks. That was when the windows of heaven were opened. You won't hear a pastor talk about this, because 99% of all the pastors are either idiots, or they're on the take, or they're part of the controlled opposition. And whether they're idiots, or they're on the take, or they're part of the controlled opposition, does not absolve them of their sinfulness, of being worthless, okay? But the reality is all that water sunk into the ground, and it's still there, folks. And it's primary water. It's the water that runs the rivers and all of these massive. You think the Nile River starts from some, the hydrologic cycle? Are you kidding me? The water comes from under the ground, folks. Do you ever wonder why we have tides all over the earth, but yet in the Great Lakes there are no tides? Did it ever occur to you that the land is actually moving up and down on the water? And that landlocked lakes like the Great Lakes don't have tides because they're not moving up and down on anything? I won't go into that right now. But they don't want you to understand that there's so much water under the ground. They got to lie to you and make you drink sewage and piss recycled reclaimed water. They don't want you to believe the truth of God's word. And they don't want you to have any access to common sense. They want you to believe that buildings can implode after being hit with kerosene, and that aluminum fuselage of an airplane can penetrate the incredible thick steel of the exteriors of those buildings. You know, I'll tell you something about an airplane, folks. I've been on plenty of them. And I will tell you that and I want you to listen to this, folks, because this is an important statement, and I need you to listen to this very carefully. An airplane is designed to be incredibly strong in the environment in which it was designed to operate, namely the air. But the minute it comes in contact with the ground, it is extremely fragile. I'm going to repeat that. An airplane is incredibly strong when it is being operated in the environment that it was intended to operate in, namely the air. Airplanes are incredibly strong when they're flying through the air, folks. You know, the turbulence and the thunderstorms and wind shear, those planes can flex and bend and maneuver and fly. Think about it. They're doing 500-600 miles an hour through the air, riding up and down on currents. Doesn't faze them. But the minute they come in contact with the ground, folks, they can fold up like an accordion. They can disintegrate. One wrong move when the airplane comes in contact with the ground, and its weakness is totally laid bare, folks. And you can't tell me those airplanes penetrated those steel exteriors of those buildings. What we saw on television, ladies and gentlemen, was a Hollywood production. And YouTube is deathly afraid of people questioning what happened, why it happened, and who made it happen. And I'm here to tell you, folks, that the truth is marching on. This is Joe Imbriano, the Fullerton Informer. I'm not worried about their censorship, ladies and gentlemen, because my allegiance is to Jesus Christ and Almighty God, and not to these people that think they can control everything, folks. All right. You need to wake up. You need to get right with God while we still have the chance, ladies and gentlemen. And this is Joe Imbriano, coming to you live from the streets of Orange County, California, in the name of Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach. And we're going to talk about the truth, folks. We don't have a choice. I need y'all to pray for me, pray for my family, pray for protection, and pray a hedge of protection over this channel. And all of you, get the word out, folks. They can't win. They can't win. Because the battle's already been won. The price has already been bought and paid for. Jesus